up, y'all? It's D. About to react to this video about What Culture Wrestling. This is 10 WWE rematches absolutely nobody wanted to see. Nobody. I like watching What Culture Wrestling because I get like more insight into wrestling because they're like experts over here. They know everything about WWE. So I get, you know, like some shit explained to me that I otherwise wouldn't have known. So it's always cool to get their take about certain shit. So let's see these rematches that nobody apparently wants to see.
As we all know, WWE loves a good rematch. Even John Cena versus The Rock, which was billed as once in a lifetime, happened twice. If there's room to squeeze out an extra bout or two, you can bet your ass Vince & Co will find a way to make it happen. The problem with that, though, is not everyone wants to see round 2. Hell, sometimes we may not even want to see round 1. The law of diminishing returns is always hanging in the air, so if this does happen and we get another go around, it's going to feel really long in the tooth. I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is 10 WWE rematches absolutely no one wanted to see. Number 10, Triple H versus Randy Orton. At one point, Triple H versus Randy Orton was great. It had a good story, good heat, good matches, it had its place and fans loved it. And then for some reason WWE just beat us over the head with it for years. Admittedly, it started shaky when the trigger was pulled far too early in 2004 on an Orton face turn and an Evolution Triple H going after the young gun. From there it got better, then it was running to the ground. We saw them clash in 2006, then did it again in pay-per-view level feuds in 2007, 2008 and 2009. On top of that, both of them thrown into the WrestleMania 25 main event too. This was always going to be difficult, but they both had to follow The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in what was considered one of the best matches ever. We didn't need to see it anyway, and then we had this. It was not a good idea. Number 9, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker. Now, here's the thing. I loved every time Stone Cold and Taker went at it. I don't know why, I just did. Probably my age at the time, but still, I would get so amped for their encounters that when Austin won, I'd leap out my chair with glee. A massive nerd. However, even I can understand why some people must have been worn out by how much they fought. WWE continued to go back to the well with this and did so in 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000 and 2002. I mean, yeah. Calm down. There were definitely some great encounters throughout all of this, but after a while it just wore you out. Well, most people. I stayed bought in the entire time. But there was a cold day in hell, SummerSlam 1998, Over the Edge, Fully Loaded, and then more after Austin went heel in 2001 and needed a foe. What's worse, this was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Biker Taker. We all know Biker Taker was rubbish. Number 8, Yokozuna versus Lex Luger. When Hulk Hogan left the then WWF in the summer of 1993, Vince McMahon's grand plan was to make a new Hulk Hogan. Picking Lex Luger to fill this role, he would carve out a new version of Hulkamania and recreate the success of the past. And to do this, he would have a dastardly foreign heel as Luger's counterpart. In theory, this could have worked, but then Lex had the rug pulled out from under him. Not only did he only beat Yokozuna by countout, meaning he didn't win the title, but fans soon soured on Luger and got behind one Bret Hart instead. This intensified when Luger and Bret both fell out of the Royal Rumble at the same time, and again, the audience was on the Hitman's side. But WWE still thought it would be a good idea to have Lex and Yoko go at it again at WrestleMania 10. Going well too long and only seeing Luger win by DQ, it was a match no one wanted to see and ultimately was the end of the road for Lex. He never got anywhere near the championship again. Number 7, Triple H versus Brock Lesnar. The weirdest thing WWE ever did when Brock Lesnar returned to the company was to punish him, coming back with thunderous momentum and a legitimacy that made him feel way more credible than anybody else. Management decided Brock should lose to John Cena, and then Triple H. It started well when Lesnar broke the game's arm and then beat him at SummerSlam 2012 so badly, the commentators even debated whether this meant Triple H would retire. It set up the beast wonderfully. And then for some inexplicable reason, at WrestleMania the next year, which meant months had gone by after their last encounter, we had the rematch and Triple H won. No one wanted to see that. Trips didn't need to go over and Brock should have squashed him once more. But yeah, we've got to punish Lesnar even though we brought him back for millions of dollars. That makes sense. Number 6, The Undertaker versus Kane. Remember what I said about Stone Cold and The Undertaker? Well, that's kind of how I feel here too. I was such a fan of the Brothers of Destruction and the pageantry around it, I just loved to see them go at it, but their rivalry really did go on forever. After Kane had debuted at Bad Blood in 1997, he and Taker fought 6 times on pay-per-view in 1998. 6 times! It's probably a bit excessive. WWE did have the foresight to keep it somewhat interesting, so we switched from tag teams to title challenges, plus Mick Foley and Austin got themselves involved for a while too. And it did make sense, because the feud was meant to be a thought-to-be-dead brother returning for revenge, so you can't run that out in a few weeks. When you go in this hard though, the creative spark does lessen, and the retreads were never as good. It eventually got too confusing as well, because they were friends, then enemies, then friends again, then tag team champions. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
it was kind of summed up in 2010 when, once more, they were programmed together. It was fun. There's just nothing else they could do at that point. Everything had been done. Number 5, John Cena versus Randy Orton. The simple problem with Cena versus Orton was that for a few years, it felt like that's all WWE had. They fought constantly and it never seemed to end, so eventually you didn't know what you were meant to take away from it. It wasn't going anywhere. Even when they tangled during the Royal Rumble match in 2011, the crowds weren't that interested, and that carried right through to their Royal Rumble singles bout in 2014. It wasn't that these were bad. They lacked any real emotion and were so structured you knew what was coming before it actually did. There were certain highlights, sure, but the truth of the matter is that these two superstars never really clicked with each other, which was an issue given that at one point in time they were the chosen ones. WWE wanted an Austin vs Rock vibe. Did not get it. Number 4, Triple H versus Kevin Nash. In 2003, Triple H was the champion and the focus of Raw. It's a moment in time that's talked about a lot because people thought the game was running the show a little too much. He'd beaten Kane, RVD and Booker T with ease, and that's when he turned to his friends. When Kevin Nash returned to Raw in April of 2003 after 9 months away, it was somewhat strange that he went right back into the main event going against Triple H. This led to a below average match at Judgment Day. For some reason that wasn't enough. Not only did they have a take 2 on the UK only Insurrection, but we got it again on pay-per-view at Hell in a Cell a month later with Mick Foley as the guest referee. None of these were any good, and yet we had to go through 3 encounters? Why? Well, we know why, but still. Number 3, The Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan. When Taker and Hogan first went at it in 1991, it was awesome. The Phenom beating Hulk at Survivor Series after help from Ric Flair was surprising enough, as was their rematch at Tuesday in Texas soon afterwards. Spin forward to 2002, and it was decided that we should go through all this again, even though obviously both were over 10 years older. Jumping off the Hogan is back nostalgia bandwagon, it went so far as to give Hulk a run with the world title, which ended when he banged heads with Taker at Judgment Day. While the crowd was hot for the build and entrances, the match itself was not good and dragged on forever. Even Taker kicking out of Hogan's leg drop didn't do anything, and the chokeslam given to Hulk was awful too. It ended with a whimper as Taker took the gold, and it probably would have been better if this wouldn't have happened. Number 2, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. We all know about this. It goes back further than we now remember. Way before Houses of Horrors and cockroaches at WrestleMania, Orton and Wyatt clashed at No Mercy 2016, and well, it wasn't that good. It resulted in an unlikely alliance, and there was a spark there. But then we got to the mentioned messes, and they were just terrible.
I do remember them getting into it a lot.
Even I recall anyway. But the back and forth between Orton and Wyatt was dull as dishwater, made worse by all the hocus pocus. It's the low light of 2017, for good reason. Number 1, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Triple H and Shawn Michaels have had amazing matches over the years, especially their epic encounter at SummerSlam 2002. The return bout for HBK, it was as emotional as it was hard-hitting, especially as Shawn was the perfect face and Triple H was the perfect heel. Everything just worked. From there, however, WWE just went a little too hard with it until they reunited the two as DX in 2006. Armageddon 2002, which was a 3 Stages of Hell World title match by the way, did not live up to expectations, and their 40-minute 2004 Hell in a Cell Bad Blood clash was just way too long. Probably already figured out. There was too much gimmickry involved all around to become truly awesome. You could see the smoke and mirrors getting in the way. If the pair had stripped everything back, all of this probably would have been a lot better. But I don't think we needed such disappointing rematches.
Okay, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. And I wonder why they really kept this shit going. I feel like it's because they were getting a good response from it, so they wanted to just keep it going, But yeah, people get tired of the shit. It's like, all right, move on to something else. Randy Orton was on here a lot. Triple H was on here a lot. Kane, fucking Undertaker. Yeah, I honestly thought Goldberg was going to be on here. It was like a match he recently had that people was talking shit about. I forgot which one. But anyway, cool video. Very informative. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Let me know what other videos you want me to react to. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.